the Gould-Fish Pod. I am Matt Gould.
And I'm Ryan Fish.
And we've got another episode for you this week. Fish, how have you been?
Been good. Unfortunately, I have not been able to go play disc golf. So that's, mark an L on my sheet this week because I'm going to have to make time to go play.
Hey, when you're looking for a hole-in-one, it's kind of like the lottery. You can't win if you don't buy a ticket.
Yep. Can't win if you don't play.
So, you just have to do some makeup work. But I played a couple rounds and it was kind of back to reality. Actually, last week, the day that we recorded, I had just gotten back from the driving range and I woke up the next morning and my shoulder was in it was just a knot.
Your right shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the actual apparatuses within my shoulder buried beneath knots. And it did not feel good. So the problem that I ran into is that it was very hard to throw anything for the next several days. So when I healed up, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out and just do some nice light chucking and see how that goes. And it actually went really well. I shot a really good score. I didn't have any shots at the ace, because I wasn't pumping it. But
you weren't at peak performance.
Exactly. But I was thinking like, oh man, maybe this is all I really need to shoot a good score is this amount of effort. So I took that approach into a game over at the Eagle Ridge yesterday.
Oh, that's a good course.
And for the first 9 holes, I played 2 rounds. And for the first 9 holes, both times, I ripped it up because those first 9 are just so easy. And it gets so much more challenging after hole 9 at that course that the first time I ended up even, which was a little disappointing because I had a double bogey and a bogey that brought me to even. And I did go into the final hole, which is very birdieable and should be an easy par. And I got a bogey to finish even. But like overall, the discs were being chucked well. Some of the holes, It's just like, here's a bunch of trees. Good luck.
Right.
And you just have to hope that you keep it low enough to skip it off the ground all the way to the hole because, it's pretty unrealistic too in some of these cases. Yeah, second round, not the case. I think I was like +7 on the back 9 in the second round. Yeah. After, again, being -3 with no bogeys through the first 10 holes. Yeah, the final 8 holes, a lot of bogeys.
A lot of bogeys. That's tough. Well, we'll have to find a way to, get together and get a
little friendly competition for the pod.
Yeah, since you're currently 1-0, I need to work my way up and tie the series.
Absolutely. Only one interesting piece of wrestling news before we kind of jump into our shows here. Konosuke Takeshita is going back to Japan. However, he has also put the AEW the letters AEW in his Twitter profile, insinuating that maybe, just maybe, he signed a joint contract where he's going to spend parts of the year doing both promotions. Only reason I actually wanted to bring this up, obviously, it's a bummer that he won't be here for a while. But I was listening to a Wrestling Observer radio, and unless something ends up coming out or I missed something, I don't know. I'd listened to it 2 days before Takeshita posted that he was leaving. I listened to a Wrestling Observer newsletter, like a radio show. And just a classic case of not being willing to admit that you're not 100% sure. Brian Alvarez asked Dave Meltzer, well, they were talking about whether they should do something with this guy or not.
Right.
And like the question we've all been asking, like, are they going to do something with this guy or what? Because he just loses. And Brian says, well, wait, how long is he here? And Dave Meltzer goes, a year? 2 days later, gone.
That's tough.
8 months shy of a year. And I'm still waiting for the explanation on what the misunderstanding was or exactly how that was screwed up, or just flat out admitting that I wasn't entirely sure. And I just assumed he was on a traditional.
Threw out a number. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that's pretty funny. They seem to get away with that more so than other people. Like,
yeah, I'd say so as well.
But hopefully he is doing a joint contract, and we find out that he was actually supposed to be here for a year, and then they agreed to this contract. And so since he had just been there for 4 months, he's going to go back to Japan for 4 months, and who knows? But we will miss him because that guy was great.
Well, I was just going to say, I think he's done so much more in 4 months in AEW than people have done in the entire time being there. And it's incredible, and it's a testament to his talent.
And I think it's awesome that, I mean, he was the lone example of, you know, we always talk about you have so many guys on your roster. Why are you using this person who's not even signed? Well, sometimes there can be value to that. And Konosuke Takeshita is that person who brought value.
He was the outlier for sure.
But, you know, that's one for quite a few.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. Like I said earlier, with disc golf, you can't win the lottery if you don't buy the ticket. And I'm glad that we've got Takeshita. Yep. But at the end of the day, like, it was a guy that, you know, was there to lose a bunch of matches. And he wasn't necessarily...
Except he wrestled for almost every single title match possible. So
yes, he did. So, you know, hopefully now that he's under contract, or, well, we don't actually know that. Hopefully he is under contract. And the use of him is stronger in the future. I know he likes Japan. He's from Japan, but I don't know how anyone can sit there and want to wrestle for DDT their whole career. So hopefully that's...
And with the reaction that he is getting in AEW, it's hard to turn that down.
Yeah, and if you follow him on Twitter, he seems to like America. And then AEW and Cinnabon. So
seemed like, oh yeah, I was gonna say Cinnabon, but I was gonna say he also, like, everyone backstage seemed to like him. Like, everyone was always like happy to like hang out with him. So like, he just seems like a good person to be around.
Or have a match with him, you know?
Or have a match with him. John Moxley, for example.
Hey, let's go drop each other on our head for 12 minutes, kid. Yeah, it's okay. Cinnamon bun after. Exactly. Exactly. Let's go. Oh, man. But other than that, you know, and then I guess another piece of news. I can't believe I forgot about this. I guess it's like just par for the course at this point. No pun intended. Vince McMahon, they found out that there was more money.
Yeah, I did see that.
And this was from a little bit longer ago. I think it was 2007 and 2009. But, you know, at this point, what exactly is the surprise there? The guy should have been gone when the first announcement was made. They waited, and now more stuff is coming. So clearly, there's probably even more coming. Like, they wouldn't have gone through all the steps of retiring him for him. Right. If there wasn't. And Triple H is just undoing everything, and I kind of love it. They're allowed
and we definitely thought it wasn't gonna change, but he's doing a little bit more than I thought.
I mean, certainly he had a vision of. I still think that there's a lot that was in line with what was going on, but I think that Triple H in general has decided, like, I can do literally whatever I want. It doesn't matter. So there have been debuts and surprise debuts, and there was even like a mystery debut where they debuted someone, but they didn't actually like show you who it was. They brought back Hit Row, your boy Top Dollar.
I did see that. Top Dollar. Back.
And so clearly he's just like, fuck it, I'm doing what I want. Like, he's bringing back all these people that were released due to budget cuts.
So is he doing NXT 3.0 now? On
dude, I don't know. 2.5 maybe. It doesn't look
2.5.
like
2.5. Okay, so just half a step up.
See, that's the funny thing I think about Triple H is, like, if you give him the keys to the big vehicle, he's probably never going to look at the car that he drove in high school ever again. Like, that's kind of the impression I get until someone says, hey, Hunter, can you go shape up this NXT shit? We don't know what we're actually watching anymore. And then maybe he'll like help out. But for all I know, he is helping out, but that appears to be the same. But like, the announcers refer to the fans as fans. They are not WWE Universe. The wrestlers are allowed to say wrestling and belt and all kinds of things that literally were on a list of banned words that you weren't supposed to use, or Vince would scream at you, which is just insane to even believe. But the more that Triple H implements, the more the Jericho Appreciation Society's gimmick is going out of style.
Right.
If there's no more WWE Universe, then what are we supposed to do? Keep making fun of him by saying there's the AEW Galaxy? Like, what? Maybe that's Triple H just trying to stick one to Jericho.
Could be. Very well.
Perhaps.
Could be.
Who knows?
Or to CM Punk as well.
Well, CM Punk isn't in the group that's making fun of sports entertainment.
That's true, but
I think that a lot of people in WWE would be doing things to stick it to CM Punk, but I don't even understand why. I mean, they fired him on his wedding day. They fired his wife on their wedding day. They gave him all kinds of shit with checks and, didn't want to cut him checks and thought they could bring him back. And, so I don't know what exactly they still need to get at him for. And I think we could just call it even and move on.
I think so.
But that's some of the news. Do you have any other thoughts or anything else you saw?
No, I think just the biggest news was Takeshita going back to Japan, and we're not going to see him in AEW for a little bit.
Yeah. And I know people will probably say, like, he's not gone. You can just watch him in DDT. No. Sorry.
I'm not watching DDT, so
I'm not getting another subscription service to watch mostly comedy matches and just to see one guy. Sorry. Unrealistic expectation. Anyway, AEW Dynamite, quick by the leg. Leading things off was the coffin match. And, you'd been saying it for 2 weeks. Brody King clearly did not do his research on this Darby Allin and coffin matches because he was picking a losing battle.
Yeah, I mean, why would you agree to such a match that this guy is claimed and undefeated in? I mean, that's...
Yep, it's his match, man. Although I was skeptical because at the beginning I looked at the coffin and I was like, is Brody King going to fit in that coffin?
It did look kind of small compared to him.
So I was kind of sitting there like, either Brody King is just that big or that's a small coffin because I'm having a hard time picturing how he's actually going to fit in there. And it made me think that Darby was just going to lose. But I also didn't really think Darby was going to lose because, this is his match. And my God, Brody King was absolutely gushing pretty much right away. Like 2 minutes into the fucking show and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
There was a cool code red off the top rope, which I thought was awesome.
It the Avalanche Code Red? Was that the move you're thinking of?
Yes, that was excellent. That Brody King tried to put him through a table on the outside, and Darby poor Brody.
That was tough.
I felt that one in my living room. And then Darby, and this is where it got a little ridiculous. And it's funny that I say that because we're already watching a coffin match, but it was at this point that it got ridiculous. Darby goes for a tope and the fucking lights go off. Dumbest thing ever. In the middle of a match, no less. It's dumb enough when someone's just in the ring talking and, the lights are off. Who's going to show up? Who paid the fucking production crew? Somehow I'm still the only person that's thought of that as a reason. And then that's ridiculous enough by itself, but this is in the middle of a match. And out of nowhere, of course, Malachi and Buddy Matthews are there. And I'm sitting here thinking like, ooh, Darby got the upper hand. They're going to beat him down. They're all going to throw him in the coffin. And that's how they're going to make Darby lose while also protecting him. And I was just like, that would be really depressing because there's no need for that. And not at all. Turns out I was wrong because all of this was just to set up the "We Want Sting" chants. And after they had beat Darby Allin up, Sting finally arises from the coffin. Surprise, surprise. And walks in, it beats up Buddy Matthews, walks into the ring, hands Malachi the bat, and Malachi just walks away and Sting follows him up the ramp. None of this had anything to do with the match. It served absolutely no purpose that couldn't have been served, when a match wasn't going on. Because Darby ended up choking Brody King with a chain, letting him fall into the coffin. Brody King's big body crashes into the coffin and closes the lid on him perfectly. It was a tremendous finish to the match. But I was watching with my dad, and I leaned over to him. I said, "Hey, do you remember when there was a great match going on?" He was like, "Yep." And now we're watching Buddy Matthews get beat up with a bat, and the actual participants in the match are nowhere to be seen.
Not on TV.
And none of it actually was out there happening to protect Darby because Darby ended up winning the match. So this easily could have been done after the match. Like just because Brody King's in the coffin, like he's not actually dead. Like someone can lift the coffin lid, help him out so he doesn't get thumbtacks all over himself, and then you can do the angle where Malachi Black calls off the dogs, even though Sting is inviting them to fight.
Mm-hmm.
It did not have to happen in the middle of a match. That was just ridiculous. Not even ridiculous from a realistic perspective. I mean, we're watching a fucking coffin match after all, but just dumb from an immersion perspective. Like, who is allowing this to go on? I get it. There's no rules, but people shouldn't just be allowed to interfere. The lights should just go off. This isn't magic. I don't understand. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great match. And then that, just kind of the classic wrestling interruption, and you're just like, not needed again. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, I mean, the actual guys killed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Darby and Brody King were incredible yet again. Those guys have been just on a tear.
They clearly have a phenomenal chemistry.
And then I was gonna say, starting out the Dynamite, those guys just rocked the house.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, that was the actual match was as good of a Dynamite opener as you're gonna get. You know, it's just that can't help yourselfness that they've got going on over there. It's like,
Tony, you gotta rein it in a little bit.
They just got to look at it and go, can this be like every time they book a match and they book these stupid run-ins and all this ridiculousness, they should just look at it and go, can this be done like a flow chart? Can this be done after the match? Yes. Okay. Don't do it during the match. Can this be done after the match? No. Okay. If it can be done during the match, can we make it make sense within the context of the match? Yes. Okay. Do that. No. Okay. How can we make it make the most sense without interfering in the match too much? And then like come up with an idea. Instead, it's just like, all right, here we go, everyone. The lights are going to go off and have at it. I mean, Jesus.
Tony needs us in creative.
He definitely does. Or he at least needs us to hold on to the key of the production truck so that guys like Malachi Black can pay off the crew.
That could be our job title is key to production trailer.
John Moxley was backstage next, and he was talking about what the AEW World Championship means. I have no idea what the FYI Championship. I didn't get that at all. Not gonna lie. Did you?
No, I don't know what the FYI Championship is.
I don't know either. And then Jericho had a promo of himself saying that Stu Hart wasn't a lovable old man. He was vicious and sadistic, and he was going to stretch the shit out of John Moxley. Jericho looks great, by the way.
Jericho's hilarious too. So,
oh yeah, I thought he was falling off. Turns out he just had some health issues, and now that those are all squared away, he's as good as he was when AEW first started.
And that's what's incredible was everyone was like, "He's done. He's washed."
Sometimes like, there are reasons.
And we're like, "Well, you know, when you're not feeling good and you're not healthy, that'll do that to you."
Yeah, it sure will. They announced the brackets for the first ever AEW's World Trios Championship tournament. And I know there are some people injured, so I have a little easier time excusing this, but Jesus Christ, the right side of the bracket is significantly weaker than the left side of the bracket.
Yeah, tough.
On the left side of the bracket, you've got Death Triangle, Will Ospreay or Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. And then you got Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Roosh against the Young Bucks and a mystery partner.
3 question marks.
Who do you think the mystery partner is going to be?
I think it's Kenny.
I do too.
And the thing is like they said that he had like a longer time to recover, but I don't know. Like I just have to think it's Kenny. I don't know who else are they friends with that.
Yeah, unless Malachi Jackson, the third of the long lost buck, is going to come out of retirement. They've got a third brother.
Yeah.
He dabbled in wrestling. There's a couple of PWG matches featuring Malachi Jackson.
He broke his leg when he was a kid.
Yeah, he did. The right side of the bracket is the House of Black. Okay, cool. The Dark Order, you know, it is what it is. The Best Friends, ew, and the Trustbusters. Who are they?
Gross.
So let's do a quick bracket prediction here. Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. Who wins?
I want to say Will Ospreay and Aussie Open just because I think that it's going to be a great match, but
I do too, but there's
they're not going to win, but that's who I want to win, so I'm sticking with it.
All right, well, I'm going to pick Death Triangle just because I can't even bring myself to live in the fantasy world. I'll just let myself down because I also want Ospreay and Aussie.
I can
Open
do that.
to
I
win.
can. You can live vicariously through me then if
I
they
will.
do win.
I will. But just because I look at Aussie Open and those guys are great, but those look like two pinnable guys when you look at the other four people participating in the match. This is a tough one, though. Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, Roosh versus the Young Bucks, and we both are assuming it's Kenny Omega who wins.
It has to be the Elite.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was really wishing that, and we'll get to the show, which is the tag match stuff next.
Those guys need to be on the other side of the bracket.
I know, because I was sitting there going, whoever loses this match is winning their first round match in the tournament. And
Right.
So now that Andrade and Roosh got their big win on Dynamite over the Lucha Brothers, it sets them up to lose to the Young Bucks and whoever's there, when really we could have just put them on the other side of the bracket against the Best Friends and beat them.
Correct.
So, all right, semifinal match on the left side of the bracket. You have Aussie Open and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks and assuming Kenny. Who do you have winning that if it happens?
I just have the Young Bucks and 3 question marks winning it all. So
I do have Death Triangle winning that first match, but I do have the Bucks of Youth and our man Kenny advancing to the finals as well. Okay, right side of the bracket real quick. House of Black, Dark Order.
House of Black.
Yeah, easy. Trustbusters versus Best Friends.
I mean, Best Friends. I mean,
I gotta pick the Best Friends too. Yeah, if there was a way that we could get them both double DQ'd and just out of the tournament in general, that's what I would actually root for. But I just know that ain't happening. All right, then the semifinal: House of Black versus the Best Friends. I swear to God, if the Best Friends get paired up against the House of Black and win, I might boycott for a week.
Yeah. I know you're gonna go with House of Black, so I will go Best Friends.
Oh my God, why would you do that? Come on. We can't even put that out into the world.
But it will be House of Black, absolutely. Though it's hard not to with the way they've been pushed.
I just can't fathom the idea of not getting, like, how many times does the world need to see the Young Bucks and Kenny versus Trent, Chuck, and a third guy?
I was gonna say I don't know how many Chuck looks so pinnable.
Yeah, exactly. But the match that I didn't think I'd ever get to see would be the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, and Brody King. And can you imagine how good that match would be?
Yeah, well, I was also going to say, the Aussie Open Death Triangle is if you want to revive your show, put the Young Bucks against the Lucha Bros, like we talked about. So, I mean, that's why I want to go back, but I do want to see Will Ospreay and Aussie Open win. But I think that's just going to be the winner of the trios tournament, is basically that semifinal match.
See, the other thing too is Kenny and Will have had their own little beef going, and
Correct.
It's definitely being played up for a potential feud down the road. And so, like, to get a face off between them, that would be quite good too in a tag match. So they're doing some things on the left side of the bracket to make you think that everybody's got a chance. But then you look
no
at the
one
right
has a
side
chance except House of Black on the right side.
Yeah. Oh, man. If any team other than the House of Black ends up in the finals, we're going to have an issue. Next up, Lefaxi and Ingobernable, Roosh and Andrade versus the Lucha Brothers. This was absolutely crazy. And I thought that Roosh and Andrade really stole the show here. Not that the Lucha Brothers weren't great. They're always great. But Roosh in AEW has been, like, I know he's always been good and he's been pretty renowned wherever he's gone. But God, I'm so glad that he's just a different kind of luchador, so to speak.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't, I hate to say this, but whenever he wrestles, his matches feel a whole lot more real to me. Like they don't feel like two guys who are just like, okay, I'm going to do all this incredible stuff and I'm not going to slow down. So you better be in the right spot. And I don't care if I dislocate my arm doing so. Whereas Roosh is a little slow, a little more deliberate. He and Andrade are obviously
methodical,
tremendous wrestlers.
Like that's what I would describe.
Yeah.
Roosh and even like them as a tag team, they were methodical about their work.
Even in the craziness of the tornado tag, it's like you can see that one team refuses to slow down and the other team kind of, they know how to work a little slower and make it just as fantastic. But
I think that's what made them a great comparison and like work together. Is like, you have one that like wants to speed up and you have one that wants to slow down.
It's and that's like a clash of styles.
Yeah, and I think that's also like, you know, what makes wrestling realistic was like they were trying to stick to each other's style, and whoever broke their own style is going to lose.
Oh yeah. And at the end of the day, though, we got to talk about this just because we bring it up all the time. The fucking mask. Penta loses because of his mask, or they almost lost. They didn't actually lose because of this, but they kind of did. Like.
He took himself out of the match.
Yeah. So Andrade and Roosh tie Penta's mask to the rope so that Penta's only option is to leave his mask on or take his mask or rip his head out of the mask, leave it dangling on the rope and go break up the pinfall. And it's like, there would be a lot more drama in this if his mask hadn't been pulled off all the time. Like, if he hadn't already made the decision several times to do this to save the match, or if he hadn't had it, then it would matter, but it didn't. He rips his head out of the mask, covers his face. Frankly, it was a little bit late to breaking up the pin. But then because he doesn't have a mask on, even though this has happened many, many times, he just lays on the floor, doesn't get up. They absolutely destroy his poor brother, and then they pin him. So the masks, you know, they really, why was his mask not, why do you have a mask with frills on the end that can be tied? Like, come on. They need a new seamstress, these Lucha brothers, who can design more efficient and sensible wrestling wear. So they're not losing like this anymore.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, the only team that's really been taking advantage of that is the Young Bucks. So I'm happy to see that another team is taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, they got to get that under wraps. The Young Bucks ran into the Dark Order and Hangman backstage, and this was quite the segment. The Young Bucks, they wanted to get the Hung Bucks back together, and they wanted Adam Page to be their partner. But the way this whole went down, you know, Matt Jackson was basically apologizing for being the assholes that they had been for the better part of the last 2 years, and they said that Hangman makes them a better version of themselves, and they would love to have him as their trio's partner. Hangman Page says he would love to, but he just can't because the Dark Order did congratulate him, and Page feels that they should go and find a partner who didn't turn their backs on them because, admittedly, that's what he did too. And so then they walk away, and they're kind of disappointed. And Brandon goes, "I think they were talking about me, guys."
Brandon Cutler comes in with the most like minuscule lines and minuscule part, but they just hit on a different level.
Oh yeah, you know, Brandon Cutler, a classic know your role situation. Next match was Luchasaurus defeating Anthony Henry, who was just signed today. And you know, again, we don't need to be signing everybody under the sun, but I have watched him in person do long singles matches, and he is good. He's really good. So I don't know what they'll do with him. There's not enough time, but I know he's good, so I'm a little bit more okay with that than I would otherwise be. But as far as the match goes, Luchasaurus fossilized him pretty quick, and all of this was just to set up Christian somehow appearing on the video board again. You know, between this Christian and this Malachi Black, I don't know who is more in the pocket of the production truck. Just turning the lights off, popping themselves up on the video board whenever they want. And still no commentator has come up with that as an excuse. All it takes, he's in the pocket of the production truck. Okay, cool. But Christian's on the video board. Jungle Boy immediately notices and sprints from commentary to the back. And this fucking Jungle Boy, this security team, man, Jungle Boy comes flying in, and somehow they're all there ready to catch him in midair to stop him from getting at this Christian. I don't understand how they are so effective when it comes to stopping Jungle Boy and ineffective in just about every other case known to man. How is this possible? Do they have something against the Jungle Boy? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think they're tired of seeing Jungle Boy actually hurt himself in these run-ins. So they're actually doing him a favor of holding him back.
That could be. I also thought of something else. Jungle Boy, last time I checked, he's still dating Anna Jay. Mm-hmm. And Anna Jay is going around choking people out backstage. Cameramen, production crew, security. So maybe they're just sick of it. They're taking a stand, and they can't hit Anna Jay. You're not gonna hit Anna Jay, but they can fuck with the Jungle Boy and prevent him from getting at Christian. So it's just amazing that this security staff is so unproductive, and then they're right there, able to stop.
They're locked in,
dude. Who's like seemingly they were locked in because they were ready in about a 10-second span.
All I can say is that they did more homework than Brody King did on the coffin match.
They did, which I guess at a certain point when they were getting destroyed by Wardlow all those months, it was like, all right, maybe we got to step up our game. And this
they
is
had to go back to the film room.
So hey, if that's why they're so much more effective now, sure. But
Wardlow made them better.
But for some reason they can't stop a run-in to save their lives.
No, they can't. But they could stop Jungle Boy.
Yeah. After that, Miro had a promo, and this was one of my favorite things. Miro is talking about how he's conflicted because of not knowing where his path is leading him, and frankly, all of this is a little long and too drawn out for a wrestling storyline. Unless you actually believe that Malachi Black is Satan, which is a bit of a stretch. But the highlight of this was Miro's indifference led to him not knowing what path his God was setting him down or whatever. And Julia Hart pops in, and I just immediately thought, oh my God, please no. Please no. And she grabs his beard, and I'm just like, no. And Miro goes, there's only one woman who's allowed to touch the Redeemer, and you are not her. And I laughed uproariously. I thought that was so funny. What did you think? I
thought this was, like you said, a long drawn out, but Miro's promos are so good, especially that one because we all know about his hot wife that can do the splits and
long-term storytelling.
Long-term, yeah. But that was great.
And then he turns to the light and says he knows what he must do. So my assumption is that at a certain point, we're going to get the House of Black versus Miro, Darby, and Sting. And
he's going to redeem them.
And he's going to redeem them, which will be fantastic, just because most of the time they do these Sting and Darby matches, they are fantastic.
Yeah, they are.
Powerhouse Hobbs backstage with Ricky Starks. Or he's done with Ricky Starks, excuse me. I can't read this here. And then the factory wanted to finish the job, and like Hobbs told QT to not let his problem become Hobbs's problem, which like he said it really menacing and intimidating. But Hobbs started the problem when he turned on Ricky Starks, and why he thought that was just going to go away. I guess he's a heel, so he's supposed to be dumb, but I don't know.
Short-term memory loss.
This was kind of a random little thing shoehorned in here.
Yeah. Was it needed for Dynamite? No. Tony,
probably
bring
not.
It in.
Yeah, probably
Get the flow chart out.
We probably could have just done the Ricky Starks match against the Factory, which we might as well talk about that now. I know it's a little out of order, but wow, we've kind of broached the subject. Ricky Starks fought Aaron Solo in a singles match. And like, I know no one wants to disrespect Aaron Solo because he's been around for a while and he was with Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor would have him win like the amateur tournament or whatever. And it always looked like something was going to happen with him. And, nothing ever really did. And he's great at doing the moves, but there are plenty of guys great at doing the moves. So I thought this match went on too long, but the finish of it was incredible.
The finish was remarkable.
Ricky Starks goes for, he hits the ropes, and Aaron Solo goes for like a tornado spin kick. which Ricky Starks ducks, continues on to the other side of the ring, hits the ropes there. And by the time Aaron Solo has recovered and gotten back to his feet, he hits him with an enormous spear and pins him. And it was timed perfectly. That finish is worth going out of your way to see, I would say.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick point. I know we've kind of talked about before how spear seems like a pointless finisher. But Ricky Stark's spear is different. And I don't know. It's to me better than Roman Reigns and better than like Edge's spear. Like, I don't know what Ricky Starks does, but his spear like actually makes you look like it puts him in the ground.
Well, I think in WWE there's this, and this is kind of like a tough reasoning because I can see the argument for both sides. The first side is that, you're not actually supposed to spear the dude. And therefore, if you spear a guy in the gut, that probably sucks. And so you don't want to do that. And so I think that the tendency is to teach soft in WWE. But then when you do that, it doesn't really look like a convincing finishing move. Like Roman Reigns will run off the ropes 4 times and then slow down as he enters the spear. Like it just doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Ricky Starks, who makes it look vicious.
Also sped up. Yeah.
But he also actually spears the guy sometimes. So, different strokes and all. But yes, his spear, it does look great. We're going to back up a little bit after that Ricky Starks Aaron Solo thing. We had a couple of promos. Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh came out.
Yep.
They said they weren't done with Wardlow and they wanted another title match. And if he doesn't, they'll just take it. Like, what does that even mean? I'm not sure. I don't think that's allowed. But Wardlow came out anyways and said that if he wanted a shot, he's got it. But tonight, he's going to kick all their asses. He stormed to the ring, and then on the way down, his former Pinnacle members, FTR, came down to back him up. I thought that was kind of cool, but What did you think?
Yeah, I just like how it's not even anything to do with the match or anything, but I think Dex Harwood tweeted out, said, "You're always on top with the Pinnacle." And I thought the Pinnacle has been dead for the longest time. So.
Yeah, well, it certainly has been dead for the longest time, but the sentiment that these were the 3 good guys in the Pinnacle and that they still kind of have each other's backs, I like that.
Yeah, no, it's funny, but yeah, when you keep referencing the Pinnacle,
I gotta kick out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2.0, multiple of these guys were backstage. Garcia called out Bryan Danielson, said he's the Dragon Slayer. Daniel Garcia, good, needs more material. The highlight of this, as always, was Daddy Magic, because he always is. And that was that.
Yeah.
And Anna Jay choked someone out again. Yay. Gun Club was backstage in another great backstage segment. And Billy was yelling at his sons, saying that the only match he ever made famous, they lost. And I just love the self-awareness from Billy Gunn. The only match I ever made famous, and he went and lost. And then Stokely walks up, because why not insert Stokely into as many things as you can? Mm-hmm. And finally, someone tells this man off and says, if you don't walk away right now, you're going to start having a real bad day. And like, if Billy Gunn said that to me, I'm turning around and leaving.
I'm not even going in the same zip code as Billy Gunn.
I'm taking a week off. And then Billy goes back to berating his sons. At one point, he even said, "This is why I miss the Acclaimed."
He said that again on Rampage as well in the ring.
And then Danhausen walks up and says, and this makes Billy Gunn crack a smile because he's happy to see Danhausen. And he says that he would see them with his bearded friend on Friday. And Danhausen and Eric Redbeard was the match that Billy was talking about when he said that he got his sons a match on Rampage. Best friends were backstage, and then we finally got introduced to the Trustbusters. And would you believe me if I said that I'm about as enthused about the Trustbusters as I am the best friends?
I'm less enthused, actually.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Yeah, this is ridiculous. All these 3-man teams. You telling me that, like, if Claudio, Bryan Danielson, and Wheeler Yuta were a 3-man team, that you couldn't pin Yuta at some point in the tournament and be okay? Like, you can pin champions to set up title matches. There are more people that could have been in that 3-man tournament. The Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club are both not in it, and both easily could have taken the place of the Trustbusters and the Best Friends. And instantly the tournament is 10 times better, but I digress.
Well, and I just want to real quick go over those 3 people that you know from the Blackpool Combat Club, and let's say Orange Cassidy pins Wheeler Yuta, and that sets up for maybe the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and Wheeler Yuta beats Orange Cassidy, and you can honestly say Orange Cassidy isn't a pure wrestler, and that would make sense in a loss.
And also, I mean, you want Wheeler Yuta to be able to pick up wins against guys like Orange Cassidy, because Orange Cassidy is an established star, and if you want big things for Yuta, having him beat established stars is a good thing. So I just don't know why they run away from having to make these tough matchups where a team has to lose. That is literally what makes wrestling compelling. And having to wait for a pay-per-view to get a couple of matches where we might not know the outcome is sometimes when these shows aren't good, they're just it's
to their own detriment.
Yeah, it feels like everything drags from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. The first 6 weeks after a pay-per-view usually are supposed to be the most exciting in wrestling, because, you're going to build up what's going to happen next. And in WWE, they can't do this because they have a pay-per-view at the end of every month. But I just remember being so excited the night after pay-per-views to hear what happened and where things are going. And honestly, the first 4 weeks after an AEW pay-per-view are some of the most boring television you're going to get.
It's lackluster for sure.
Yeah, there's maybe a handful of segments on the Fallout show that are pretty great. And then for the next 3.5 weeks, it's nothing. Speaking of nothing, TBS Championship match. Jade Cargill defeated Madison Rayne. And this sucked. Not going to lie. I hate saying it, but it kind of sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
No, missed moves, poor timing, some awkward standstill spots, just not very good.
Was not clean for sure.
No. And Jade Cargill did retain. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I'm good.
Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. Did you see Chris Statlander's injury?
Did she tear her ACL again? I know some with her knee.
I forget what she actually tore, but she tore 2 different things in her other knee.
I know it's with her knee, so she's going to be out for a little bit. But
yeah, she was supposedly about to get this big push. What do you mean about to? There is no about to. There is either you are getting the big push or you are not currently getting the big push. And she got hurt wrestling on Dark. She came back on fire and you did nothing with her. If you do that again, shame on you. If that's the kind of shit.
And she should have been the one to beat Britt Baker too.
Yes, absolutely. That is the kind of shit that is going to make people want to leave when their contract is up. Whether they'll be treated fairly or not at the other place, wherever they end up going, is almost non-factor. You come back from a torn ACL, you're supposed to get this big push, fans go crazy for you, and you get hurt wrestling on Dark. And now you're out for a long period of time and your momentum is gone. That is not the wrestler's fault. That is the booker's fault. And you look at who's been on the TV in the women's division. They don't use their own people. They set up matches that are simply not going to be good. And meanwhile, you have this girl who's on fire, but we can't do anything with her because we had to create a title for a girl who's going to remain undefeated, even though she can't actually wrestle. So all of that was just, I got so upset when I heard that she got injured because she had all this momentum and she literally did not get to use any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Main event time, though. Jericho came out in full Lionheart. What did you think of this main event?
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. This is one of Jericho's best matches, I thought, in quite a while. Not that he hasn't had good matches, but this was one of the best matches I think he's had in AEW, period.
Yeah, and obviously their championship match, Moxley and Jericho the first time was really good as well. So I think this was maybe even a little bit better. I mean, probably not pay-per-view wise, but as the match went on, it definitely was incredible.
I thought this was actually way better than their first match. Jericho wasn't in nearly as good of a shape.
Right.
And even though the pay-per-view main event felt big, it was not a great match. It just was not.
Right.
It was fine. Like, it was good. It was big fight feel, all that stuff. But
right, like it was good, but it was nothing like to write home about. But this one was,
this one was awesome.
Yeah.
Jericho did everything he said he was going to do. He stretched them. There were German suplexes. I mean, again, blood everywhere, which
Moxley,
he might need to take a couple weeks off of bleeding because it started to become like a little bit of a joke that, Moxley's going to bleed 4 minutes into his match. And at least this time it was a little creative. He had his earring pulled out and he bled from the ear. But Jericho,
but still,
yeah, but Jericho's blood was totally accidental. He accidentally hit the. I don't know if he accidentally hit the post too hard or if he accidentally cut himself too deep. But Jericho was not supposed to be bleeding like the way he was.
I think he went into that a little too hard.
Yeah, I think so as well. He was.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, damn, like that was a little harder than it probably should have been.
What did you think when you saw Moxley get put in the walls of Jericho and then they immediately went to commercial? What did you think?
I was pissed.
I was also pissed. And I think it's funny. So there were some other people that obviously weren't a big fan of that. And when it happened live, Dave Meltzer said that he wasn't a big fan of it either. But then when they came back from commercial and the crowd was still like on their feet and going crazy, that he changed his mind because, like, even though it doesn't make sense and he wouldn't do that, at least like the live crowd, apparently they were fine with watching a submission for 4 straight minutes. And like, I understood where he was coming from. If it works, it works. And that's all that really matters in wrestling. Okay. There are like 7,000, 8,000 people in the building on any given night. There are 900,000 to 1 million people just in the United States alone watching every night. I'm sorry, but your primary audience is the one watching on TV. There's far more of them. And if the TV show looks good enough, then they will come to your live event.
Mm-hmm.
So like as good as it is that the fans in the building were still into it, that doesn't necessarily make this the right idea. Because, like, am I supposed to believe that Moxley's going to tap during it? No. If anything, it is nice that they were still into it when he came back from commercial, because if you're a fan like me and you went over to fill your water and perhaps grab a snack, you came back, and by the time the commercial was over, you were able to kind of just jump back into the match because the crowd was so crazy. But aside from that, like, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of that. But other than that, which, these guys are creative and they've got to figure out ways to get through commercials. So there are far worse things that have been done during a commercial break.
Correct.
But at the end, Jericho was a bloody mess. Moxley reapplied the rear naked choke and Jericho fought, but eventually he tapped out and Moxley retained. And shout out to Sammy for overthrowing his target when he tried to get the bat in there. That was pretty funny.
Floyd
threw Floyd in the ring, completely overthrew it. Jericho had to run outside, grab it, get back in the ring, and hit Moxley all before Aubrey turned around. And you could see him rushing. It was kind of funny, but it worked out. Yeah, this was awesome. This was great.
It was good.
And then the post-match beatdown. Jon Moxley is getting the shit beat out of him by everybody. And the Blackpool Combat Club comes down to even things out. But, they still had some Jericho Appreciation Society members in reserve.
They forget the numbers game. They forget the numbers.
He can't be forgetting the numbers game. But you know who the numbers game doesn't face?
Is he the best in the world?
He is, and that's why he doesn't need numbers. Cult of Personality came on the Jumbotron, played through the arena, and CM Punk made his return to an absolutely crazy crowd, and effortlessly he took care of every member of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And then Punk and Moxley had their face off, and I am very excited for where they're going to go with the Punk and Moxley thing.
I thought the funniest part was Moxley flipping off CM Punk.
It was funny.
I thought that was a great moment. But yeah, that the direction that we hope that they go is it's going to be something that's going to be memorable.
Real quickly, AEW's Chris Statlander, torn ACL and meniscus.
Oh, yeah, her knee's blown up.
Both of them now.
Done.
Which sucks, but...
Done for a while.
But anyway, yes, no, the CM Punk stuff. Continue.
So I just said, hopefully it's they take us on a great journey.
And it's kind of hard to remember, and it's going to be one of those things where they're going to need to show people this because I didn't even necessarily remember until I saw it on Twitter. But right around the time CM Punk ended up coming in and doing the Last Dance show, John Moxley had cut a promo about how now that it's popular, everybody wants to come to AEW. But who was the guy carrying everything through the early ages?
Mm-hmm.
And it was him. And he wasn't necessarily happy that everybody just thought, oh, well, now I'll go to AEW because it was his domain. And CM Punk then debuted like a week later. And so I think that going in that direction for the feud could make it quite good.
Yeah, I mean, that would keep it pretty variable in the sense of like you're not going to know who's going to win.
I already don't know who's going to win, so I doubt that they could do a whole lot to ruin it.
They ruin other things, but hopefully not this.
No, it would take some legitimate effort to ruin this. But that was the Dynamite show. Overall, pretty solid show.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take us into Rampage.
Rampage. All right. So we started out with the face-to-face between Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. And I think the line of all this was Bryan Danielson saying, what pisses him off was that sports entertainer bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love it. Because we talked about this before where Daniel Garcia says he's the best technical sports entertainer. And it really gets under Bryan Danielson's skin.
Yeah, he really does hate that shit. That's for sure. I will say that just quickly, Daniel Garcia is awesome. He needed new material for this promo.
Yeah, it's recycled now.
Yeah, now it was one thing when, he was just being asked a question in a hallway. But now you are in the ring with Bryan Danielson. And the most you could come up with is all the stuff you came up with a month ago.
Right. Yeah. But they got a match next Wednesday to see if Bryan Danielson goes into retirement, right? Isn't that the stipulation? If he loses, he goes to retirement? I
think Daniel Garcia just wants to put him into retirement. It's a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Right.
But I don't remember them saying like...
Okay.
I think it's just that Daniel Garcia's...
He's going to try to... Okay. Gotcha.
Put him out for good, end his career, which I hate because everyone says it. Ending your career and putting you in the ground are two things that if I never heard in wrestling again, wrestling would be better off for.
Yep, I agree. Up next, I don't know if I'm missing any promos, but up next we had the Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti versus Dante Martin and Sky Blue for the AAA World Mixed Championship match.
Yeah, we definitely had that.
we definitely did, and you can definitely tell that Dante Martin was grounded.
Yeah,
I mean he stuck to more of the ground wrestling. I don't even think he got on the top ropes. If he did, I must have missed it. But well, I mean the only thing is that Dante Martin didn't come in with the flying destroyer onto Sammy.
That was kind of cool. I did. He
jumped off Ty Conti for the destroyer was pretty cool.
Yeah, that part was cool, and I like that the guys were there to set the women up for their big spots, and there was spectacular stuff in this match. I actually thought that the match and the fluidity of it was all good. I just sit here and I wonder, with a pay-per-view now 3 weeks away, what does having the AAA mixed tag titles on your Rampage show, what purpose does that serve?
I guess probably just to show that Sammy is still holding a belt.
Sammy is going to be wrestling Eddie Kingston at All Out.
Yeah.
Why was there no follow-up on that? We had 2 shows this week and no follow-up on that. But he was there for both shows.
Correct.
I think that's a classic case
just
of maybe review the notes.
Phone Eddie in. I mean, he did on Rampage once before. Phone him in.
But it's not, the ball isn't in Eddie's court.
No, I
He's
know.
already given several. The opus was on Tony to book Sammy to respond to Eddie, and instead he booked him in a run-in on Wednesday and in a mixed tag title match on Friday,
and not even cut a promo after.
And yes, there's time. Like, it probably won't take that long. But when we sat back and looked at, like, did this need to be on Dynamite? Nope. Did Parker Boudreaux need to beat Sonny Kiss? Nope. All of these could have been time that were used for Sammy responding to Eddie Kingston. Yeah. Match itself was actually kind of good. Like, I actually didn't mind it for what it was.
I thought this was a pretty solid mixed gender match too, because those could probably go off the rails fairly easily.
Oh yeah, and they certainly kept everything together. And honestly, the Thai KO, that finishing move, I'm quite a fan of.
Oh, it's pretty good. But yeah, Sky Blue took the fall. Up next, we had, as you mentioned, Parker Boudreaux and Sonny Kiss, where beat him.
Who cares?
Then up next, we had the Gun Club versus Beardhausen.
Oh, well, real quick, back up real quick. They had the La Facción Ingobernable. They were backstage with Private Party, and they said that they were going to win the trios titles. And for some reason, Isaiah Cassidy got in his face.
Because he called him a loser, so...
Oh yeah, that's right. I couldn't remember what instigated
them said you upset. Lose.
Well, he's not wrong, but Excalibur said that Private Party was going for the tag titles.
What? They did say tag titles. The trios tag titles, right? Isn't that what it is?
No. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn are going for the tag titles. Private Party. He said Private Party is going for the tag titles.
Oh, and then Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee did respond to that later.
Yeah, but why? Why is Private Party going for the tag titles? If that's the pay-per-view match, I'm not going to be happy about that.
I don't think it will be.
I hope to God not. Throw another specialty show in there.
Yeah, why not? Then you had the Gun Club and Beardhausen. I thought it was a pretty solid match.
Oh, yeah. I
love seeing Eric Redbeard out there doing his thing.
So hold on, let me do a quick review here. Other than brief mentions about the trios tournament, so the Bryan Danielson interview, all of the stuff they did about the trios tournament, like every time they mentioned that, and then this Gun Club versus Beardhausen team. Those were like the three most relevant things that happened on this show based on the stories they're currently telling. Mm-hmm. How in the world is a Gun Club match against Danhausen and Eric Redbeard among the most relevant things on your show?
And that's hard to justify too.
Well, I still liked it.
Makes sense. Well,
yeah, and it makes sense. It's just you would expect this to be the bottom of the show. Like, when I say bottom of the show, I don't mean worst thing.
Right.
But like, this should have been one of the things lower on the totem pole as far as like things that were relevant to the stories being told in AEW. And yet it was like among the most important thing that they did on the show.
As far as might have been one of the best things on the show, honestly.
Yeah. How can that be the way? Like, I liked it, but God, I don't know.
This should be the lower tier of your Rampage show. Yes. For some reason, it's the best thing on your Rampage show.
If this is the lowest tier thing that happens on your Rampage show, that's a damn good Rampage show. But instead, it's like among the best things that happen because there's just not a lot of depth on this show. And if Stokely Hathaway recruits Billy and Colton or Austin and Colton away from their father, I'm done watching the Gun Club.
Yeah, well, and they got an ass chewing from Billy Gunn after the match since they picked up the win. They had to prove themselves again, and Billy Gunn said that he misses the Acclaimed.
Oh, yeah, that's heartbreaking.
It sounds like he didn't want to side with his sons, but he did it
because they're his sons.
Because yes, other than that, I think he would have been with the Acclaimed.
Well, hopefully Austin and Colton can get a little winning streak going because you don't want to be disappointing daddy ass.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say the amount of pull that Billy Gunn has to just say, "Hey, next week Dynamite, next week Rampage." This man has a lot of pull. Yeah, good for him.
And he's taking advantage of it too.
No one else has taken advantage of this besides Billy Gunn, and we've talked about this before.
Jungle Boy can't even get within 5 feet of Christian, but Billy Gunn has now booked matches on 3 straight shows. 3 shows in the last 4 weeks. He's booked a match on. And
when they first shot out, he was booking matches for Dark and Elevation. I mean, he was doing it all.
Jungle Boy needs to send a text to this Billy Gunn, ask him exactly what he needs to do to get whatever pass Billy has.
Yeah. But yeah, Stokely Hathaway, boo. Then we had Lexi Nair interview Swerve in Our Glory, which they said that they're gonna put their titles on the line, I guess, against Private Party. And Keith Lee said that they're just gonna launch Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy again.
I can always go for Keith Lee throwing them. I mean, that was entertaining the first time around.
So,
but Swerve said Private Party are not in the top 5, so they'll cut him a break. No, Swerve. That is literally what the top 5 are there for. What are you cutting a break to a team outside of the top 5? Like, you're a nice guy and all, but this is not show friends, boy. It's show business.
Well, maybe it's they're looking for stat night, pad the stats, maybe whatever statistics that you keep in wrestling besides wins and losses. I mean, maybe they're looking for that. I don't know.
The statistic they're looking for is furthest Private Party member thrown.
There you go. Okay, well then maybe that's a good thing then. Maybe they're like, but maybe mention that they're trying to pad the stat of launching Isaiah Cassidy across the ring.
But, we'll see that for sure. It'll be great.
Yeah. Then we had the cold-hearted handsome devil Hook interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And all he did was say, "Yep."
Tony asked him if it would be if the FTW championship would continue to be an open challenge. And Hook said, "Yep."
Yep. The only word that he said the entire time.
Yep. Exactly. Before JWoww's boyfriend or husband or whatever came out.
Yeah, Zach Clayton came out and interrupted, and I don't even know who the hell this guy is, but
the reality, Zach Clayton? Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's married to JWoww or he's just dating
JWoww.
I
mean, for wrestling wise, I don't know.
No, that's who he is. I'm telling you. In wrestling, he's JWoww's boyfriend.
Yeah, gotcha.
and winning the FTW title would be the first step to, coming out from under that umbrella.
Okay. Well, there we go. It's next week on Rampage.
All right. Hopefully he's good.
Yeah, let's hope he's good. And then it's time for the main event, which
is just shocking that this was a main event.
We had Orange Cassidy versus Ari Daivari.
Yay.
See, the thing is I thought Ari Daivari was, I don't really know much about him, but I thought he was supposed to be similar to Mustafa Ali. I thought he was supposed to be more of a... Nope. Did I just get that completely wrong?
Not that I've seen. I've seen him be quite the ragdoll. That's for sure.
Okay.
I've seen him be pretty good at that, and he's always been like a talker kind of guy. He's the guy whose name has been around forever, and I'm not exactly sure what he does, which usually isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
As far as the match,
my hopes that, or my envision of him being similar to Mustafa Ali was quickly shot down.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not Mustafa Ali. That is certainly not what he is at all.
Yeah, well, I just thought that he was more on the ropes because, obviously Mustafa Ali is pretty good at what he does.
And what exactly did you think of this Orange Cassidy Ari Daivari match?
Average.
Yeah, it was just a match. Good thing Orange Cassidy got his main event. Oh man, that's so frustrating.
But yeah, it's hard to justify this Rampage yet again.
Not interested in building the ratings is what I got from this. Oh, and then after the match, Sonny Kiss, who was squashed earlier in the show by these people. They cut a deal between 9:30 and 10. Like what? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard to justify.
Yeah, that was bad. That ending was terrible. And Sonny Kiss, like, fine, whatever. If you want to use Sonny Kiss, use Sonny Kiss. But we had him get destroyed earlier in the show and then go and side with the people that destroyed him. Like, excuse me? It just doesn't make a lick of sense. But yeah, no, let's book a solid Rampage card one of these days. It used to be such an easy watch, and now
it used to be so good.
Dude, when I watch Rampage now, it feels like it takes as long as watching a 2-hour Dynamite to get through.
I felt embarrassed actually watching this show.
Oh, dude, that's how I felt about some of them, a lot of them lately.
Yeah, no, this one was a tough one.
But better than Rampage, at least much better booked than the Rampage, is the Gould-Fish Pod Top 5.
Very true.
Do you have yours ready?
I do.
All right. Well, last week I think you went first, so I think I'm going to go first this week.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to blitz you here. I'm going to call an audible real quick. Number 5 in the AEW or the Gould-Fish Pod Top 5 rankings is the AEW security team.
That's a huge week this week, shown again.
Because they have done nothing but stop this Jungle Boy they've prevented vehicular manslaughter. They have been on the spot to intercept him right away. I mean, they've been doing a great job, and it's nice to see. They wore it on the chin for a while.
Yeah, that they did. So for my number 5, I'm going with Andrade's Promises.
Okay.
Because he is bringing Dragon Lee into the trios tournament, which he's bringing his whole family into AEW, as you have previously mentioned.
Yep.
So I can't see how I cannot trust this guy. I mean, he's manifesting his dream into AEW, so it's hard for me not to believe
Andrade's trustworthiness.
Yes.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because my number 4, carrying over from last week into this week, staying the same, is Andrade and his family. Because since I said that last week, they've picked up another win, gotten into the trios tournament. I mean, what else do you need?
I bought in.
I'm skeptical that they're going to advance in the trios tournament, so I couldn't move them up, but a good enough week to stay right where they were at number 4.
Yeah, I bought in. So actually moving up one spot has been Jay Lethal still. Found a way to be on TV yet again for another week. Granted, he didn't wrestle, but he found a way to be on TV.
He sure did.
And he's going to take the TNT title belt. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Not really, but
no, but that's what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, he did. He's making heavy-handed demands. That's for sure. My number 3, moving up in the rankings this week from number 5, Christian. And here's why. 1, he's continued to avoid the onslaught of Jungle Boy and the Luchasaurus. He's in the pocket of the production team. He basically calls the shots. He's got security that defends him like he is an ancient Egyptian relic in the pyramid itself, because they're all over this Jungle Boy. But most importantly, his move up this week comes from one really big reason. His entire thing about pairing up with Jungle Boy is so that he could just talk, sit in the background, collect a solid paycheck, not have to do that much. And what is he doing right now?
The same thing.
Occasionally having to talk, appearing on the Jumbotron. Now, granted, he does have to avoid vehicular manslaughter attempts at times, which, there's that. But still, all he's got to do is show up, talk a little bit, ride the coattail of the Jungle Boy, collect a paycheck. This guy's playing chess.
Yeah, he's chess, not checkers.
Exactly.
So going in at my number 3 this week, brand new to the list, Billy Gunn's pull.
Well, hold on. Go ahead. You cut out a little bit. Billy Gunn's what?
Pull.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's found a way to book matches.
His pull is so
week.
great, you might as well just give him the spot.
Right. I mean, it's so
like, forget Billy his Gunn. pull. Just give Billy.
Billy Gunn, number 3.
Don't hesitate. Pull the trigger. Still makes more sense than AEW's rankings. Fuck, Private Party is getting a title shot. My number 2 for the week, moving up 1 spot from last week, Jon Moxley, having a tremendous main event title match with Chris Jericho. I mean, that they did better than their first one. I can't put him at number 1 because number 1's case is too strong, but we'll get there.
Okay, so my number 2, moving up 1 spot, was FTR.
Ooh.
And I think that, them being on TV, but I think that they are going to be on TV now again after Dax Harwood's hopefully healing up a little bit. But it was nice to see him back on TV.
It is always nice seeing them back on TV, although I thought it was ridiculous that they were advertised to being appearing on Dynamite. And what they were
really?
actually,
I guess I didn't even notice.
Yes, they were advertised to be on that Dynamite show, and then the only thing that they did was come and help Wardlow.
Wardlow, yeah.
Yeah, which, what? It seems like a weird thing to advertise. My number 1 for the week, we've been building to this. Rumors in general, specifically about people coming back from injury. Adam Cole's come back, Bryan Danielson has come back, CM Punk has come back, and it all culminates to this Wednesday when we probably get Kenny Omega back. And look, rumors about wrestlers coming back probably going to take a hard fall after this, but they have rode the wave and they are deserving of the number 1 spot as we prepare for this mystery partner that the Young Bucks are going to announce on Wednesday.
Very true. Coming up, my number 1 is the FTW belt.
Oh, now that Hook's got it, I love.
Well, now that Hook's got it, but it's been featured, a lot in the Open Challenge. So I'm happy to see that the FTW belt is being featured more. The thing is FTW belt isn't even recognized by AEW. So,
oh my god,
if we want to talk about specifics.
TNT title as well hasn't been defended on a pay-per-view since All Out 2021. Like, there's all kinds of other titles that have
a title that's not recognized is getting more TV time.
It gets more TV time than the All Atlantic title, which was a hot new title they just created, and it's already overshadowed by the FTW title. But yeah, I like your top 5.
Yours is good. I think mine's going to be in for a shakeup the next couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, as soon as Kenny returns, and we've got Moxley's big pay-per-view title defense coming up, a lot of movement is going to happen as we approach this pay-per-view. It's going to be exciting to see.
Agreed.
Last things last. Match of the week.
Match of the week, obviously, would have to go Moxley Jericho.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
That's a fairly simple one. If I had to go for my second best one, would have been the Lucha Bros and Rush and Andrade, because that whole match was offense, and I like offense.
yeah. It's a high-scoring affair, touchdown after touchdown, like the Chiefs and the Bills in the playoffs.
Yeah, offense.
Yeah, that would be my number 2 as well. But Moxley and Jericho, all-time greats there. I also went with them as my match of the week. We've been on fire with our. We're really in sync with this whole match of the week thing.
Same wavelength.
But any closing thoughts here?
I'm good.
As am I. I am Matt Gould.
And I'm Ryan Fish.
And this was the Gould-Fish Pod.